Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to my channel, Red Pill Games, where we talk about games, things that are happening in the world, some politics, and just overall interesting events. And the topic that I want to start off with today, for my first episode, is kind of a dark one, but it is a really big story, and it's gonna affect a lot of us in different ways. But that is the um, massacre that just took place in Las Vegas on October 2nd. Maybe it was the 1st, but it happened very recently. So we want to go ahead and start off talking about that and get into maybe some theories, see what might have caused this, kind of just speculate a little bit on it. I'm not a detective, I'm not Sherlock Holmes, I'm not really a journalist. I'm just going to be throwing out some speculation, my opinions, and just some ideas. A lot of them are and probably will be wrong, but that's just to get you guys, situated with what we're going to be going over. So, with that being said, the first thing that I want to get out the way, and I said that kind of rude, but first thing I want to do is really send my condolences to everyone who lost their lives in this atrocious shooting. I mean, this has been the worst attack on the U.S. soil since 9/11. And it's heartbreaking, and I want to give my condolences and my heart out to all the people that either lost their lives, have loved ones lost, or are fighting for their lives as we speak. It's just absolutely horrendous what has happened to such innocent people that we're just out having a good time, and overall, from my knowledge, had nothing to do with this guy's situation or problem. So about the gunman, first off, the guy's a monster. It's demonic and sadistic what he did. Absolutely terrible. But from my knowledge and what I've just gathered from reports on the news and different outlets is, as far as a person goes, he seemed like he could be your next door neighbor easily. There wasn't really any mental stability issues with him that you could tell off right the bat. His family didn't see that coming. With that being said, when you interview family and friends, they can tend to cover for you because there's an unconditional love there. So that could be a little bit biased when it comes to that. But he was in his 50s, maybe 60s. Also, he seemed like he didn't have too many problems. I mean, as far as money goes, he seemed pretty well off. He had a few properties. I think, a house in a good side of town, a wife, which we'll get into that later. Overall, nothing really stuck out to where this guy would just snap and do this. Now, being from Las Vegas or Nevada or wherever he was somewhere around that area. Of course, there's gambling, there's women, there's a whole bunch of debauchery, and, it's called Sin City for a reason. And I'm not a prude, people go out there to have a good time, party, and whatnot. People lose a lot of money gambling, and some people are saying that's the motive. And it could possibly be that. The only thing with that is that there's certain ways people cope with things, and this is so beyond the pale of natural coping that it's unfathomable. I mean, if you would think about it, if you lost a couple 100,000, you would go into like deep depression. Uh, you might end up taking your own life, maybe taking out someone who hurt you, taking out, a family member, someone you loved. Um, you know, you wouldn't. It's not normal to cope, and I say coping lightly, but it's not normal to deal with a situation that has to do with losing money or going bankrupt by going to a hotel room, busting out the windows with some assault rifles or belt-fed machine guns, whatever type of arsenal he had, which he had an arsenal. I mean, this guy was packing some major equipment that he knew he was going to be dealing a lot of damage. But I mean, you don't cope with money problems or personal problems by going on a massacre. At least 99.9% of us. That's not a normal thing. So, in my opinion, you got to say this attack was planned. There's no other way. This guy had to choose his vantage point, which was from the hotel. He knocked out two windows. He chose a time where there was going to be a concert with a lot of people gathered in a dense place, and he can have a clear vantage point and take shots. And I mean, all of that points to premeditation. He had to think about that. And we'll probably never know, the full story because this guy's dead. I mean, whatever secrets he had, he took with him to the grave unless they find some kind of note or something on his laptops or his technology. We may never know. But it was definitely pre-planned, and it seemed almost professional-like, which is going to lead me into a little topic here, where I think maybe some conspiracy and government scandal type deals come into play. So, what I really think happened here is, I don't know if it's because I saw the movie American Assassin a few days ago, and if you have not seen that movie, go see it. It's worth the money. Go watch it in the movie theater. Don't rip it off. Watch it in a movie theater, and watch it now, because there is something about that movie. I don't want to spoil anything. It's a great movie. You're going to get your money's worth, but there's something about watching it now and how close to reality it really is. And I'm not saying that movie is tied to this in any way, but I think it's very relevant, that story that movie was telling. And how much in the shadows, how many things are in the shadows that we don't know about. And that movie really has a lot of interesting details. With that being said, I'm just going to get down to it. Honestly, I think this was some type of government, CIA, FBI type of manufactured chaos. Because like I said before, going out to kill people the way this guy did is just not a normal coping mechanism. This guy was armed to the teeth. I think they found like 18 guns at the scene, and then he had like 30 guns at his home. That may be flipped. I'm not sure about the whole numbers, but he was armed to the teeth, which, I mean, is perfectly okay. I'm definitely pro Second Amendment. Get as many guns as you want. I want everyone to have guns. But this guy had weapons and wanted to use them for malintent. Another thing is that these weapons were automatic weapons. It's real difficult to get automatic weapons. You either have to modify them yourself or buy them from somebody that's modified. They're generally really expensive, and I mean the legal hoops that you have to go through to get them are very, very tricky. Um, and even especially in like California and Nevada, I'm pretty sure they have very strict gun laws where it's very difficult to get even semi-automatic weapons. Like ARs, they can't have butt stocks or pistol grips, silly stuff like that. So this guy was able to get fully automatic weapons, high capacity magazines, and do this damage. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with owning guns. I'm a huge gun advocate. I think everybody should be able to arm themselves. Uh, Personally, I think if there were more guns in that situation, that maybe this could have been stopped. Maybe it couldn't have, because this guy was 1,000 feet from the crowd, shooting downward from a hotel room. So some guy with a 22 or a 45, chances of him shooting upward into a window from 1,000 feet and hitting a guy, maybe stopping him for a little while, is highly undoubt. You know, not really something that would be real possible. I mean, it could happen, but it's very slim chance. So another funny thing about this shooter, or strange thing about this shooter, is from all the reports that I've gathered, said that he had no military background experience, no like firearm training, which I mean, military background I can understand. Firearm training, hard to believe, because you don't have that many guns and not shoot them and not fire them and not know how to use them. And this guy was 1,000 feet away. That, approximately, shooting into a large, dense crowd of people. Wounded, or killed over 50 people, wounded around 600 to 700 people, maybe more. So, even if you are just spraying and praying, you don't have gun control, you're shooting into a dense crowd, I mean, you could easily do some damage, but you have to have some type of training. You have to have some weapon control. You have to know what you're doing. So this guy definitely knew what he was doing. To be that effective, even if it is shooting at a dense crowd of people, um, it's you have to have some type of gun control. And I'm not talking about like gun control, like gun laws, but like actually know how to handle a weapon. Another thing that I think is kind of strange is how long it took for the police to get to him. I don't really know the whole backstory into that part, so I'm not going to get into it. Um, Overall, what I think this really was, and like again, this is conspiracy speculation. I think this was a shadow government, deep state move perpetrated, I'm going to say, by the far left, because if we look at the history, the far left has been trying to control our lives from the beginning of the U.S. I mean, even further back, they want to control what we can buy, what we can sell. They want to control how much money we make, how much money they take. They want to know what we're doing, when we're doing it, every day, all day, all night. And they want to take our firearms away from us to where no citizen is armed except for people in government. And it doesn't take very much. Doesn't take very much delving into history to know how that ended up in Nazi Germany. The very first thing they did was take citizen weapons, and if you don't have citizens that can fight for themselves, then a tyrannical government is just going to take over and it's going to wreak havoc. So, in my opinion, and what I'm thinking is this was a tragic, sick, disgusting shot created and manufactured by the left to forward the agenda that we need stricter gun laws, that we need to disarm people. If you have guns, bring it to your local government office. We'll pay you for it. Just give us your guns. We don't need guns. Yeah, all I have to say to that is, over my dead body, you're not going to take my right to defend myself. You're not going to destroy the Constitution. If you're gonna try and take my gun, you're gonna have a fight on your hand, and someone's gonna end up, dying if you try to do that. Because that's exactly what the Second Amendment's in there for. So I do not stand for them trying to destroy our Constitution. And they're already politicizing it. It took literally like minutes for them to start politicizing it and making this about gun control. Gun control never solves anything. If you take away the guns, you know what? People are still evil. People will they'll get a knife. They'll go and stab people. Are you going to ban knives? People will get into cars. They'll get into trucks. They'll get into vans and they'll run people over. Are you going to ban them? People will beat each other to death with their fists. What are you going to do? Cut their hands off? So there's no solution to evil. You can't do it. We just trust each other enough to where we live in a society where we don't have to worry about people going crazy and doing horrendous things like this. And it really doesn't happen very often. I mean, when we're left to our own devices, majority of us just want to live peaceful lives, happy, get married, have kids, and be outstanding citizens. With that said, there's always sick people out there, and they're going to do evil things no matter what. But in my overall theory, I really think that this was a government-created catastrophe, and there's something much further behind this. Now, there's also the aspect of ISIS being behind it, which they said they claimed responsibility for. Truth be told, we're whooping ISIS's ass right now. That's kind of why you don't hear about them that much, because we're probably doing some atrocious things to ISIS. So, I don't know about the whole ISIS theory. It has kind of been debunked, but I'm not leaving anything off the table. Another thing is this guy's wife, I believe she was in Indonesian or Oriental descent. So, if you didn't know, the Oriental population actually has the highest population of Muslim and Islamists. So, I mean, I'm not going to take that off the table. Do I think it's likely? Not really, but I'm not taking it off the table. So, my closing statements are going to be this. Firstly, I think this was a government push for gun control done in such a horrendous way. And again, I can't say enough how much my heart goes out to these people. And I hate to start my channel off with this topic, but I mean, you really can't avoid it. But also, I just kind of want to know what you guys think. What are your opinions on it? What are your speculations? Just toss them in the comments. Let me hear what you have to say. And hopefully, if you found this video interesting or want to hear more about it, do the whole like, subscribe, hit the bell, whatever they're doing now. That way, I can make some more content. The equipment that I have is kind of subpar. It's enough to do the job, but not that great. So if you guys want more videos, liking, subscribing will motivate me to invest in better equipment so I could deliver you guys better content. With that being said, this is Red Pill Games. Peace out. You guys be safe, and thanks for watching.